Las Vegas, a rainy day in Las Vegas. Can you believe that? Wow. It looks like we'll have enough water to wet the lawn.
Yes, it is.
Well, in Las Vegas we don't get a whole bunch, but that's just the way it is. And we have to take the good with the bad. Now let me think about the good parts. Well, we have an oasis here. Yes. And, well, let me start all over. This is Blu Laker. This is Cobra, USA, in Las Vegas, Nevada, emanating from Radio Tribune, right here in Las Vegas. Now, I hope you're listening today because I have some pretty important information. Well, I think it is, maybe not. You'll have to make up your own mind. Well, let me tell you what it's about. You see, we're struggling with a new health program. And in that program, we seem to be a little bit short of doctors. Now, I'm going to explain that. You see, registered doctors in the United States, there's 248,000, somewhere there. So almost 250,000 doctors. Well, that sounds like a lot, doesn't it? Well, the reality of it is that there's 330 million people. Now, if we try to do this mathematically, and I have to open up my phone here and see what it says, calculator, all right, and I'm going to clear that, and I'm going to say 330 million, thousands, 30,000 and 300,000 divided by 200. Hope I don't screw this all up. Well, we're going to say 279,000. That didn't work either. 248,000 equals each doctor has to see, boy, there's a lot of digits here. I'm not real sure about this one. 13,306,000 people. Each doctor would have to see 13,306,000 people to take care of everybody in the United States. That seems like an awful high number. Well, let's just say that that's right, and I'm going to try to multiply it out, make sure that that works, and let's see where we're at. Let's see, 13,306,000 times 248,000 times 248,000 equals 325 million. So I'm assuming that that number is correct. Let's just say it's 13 million people that each doctor has to see in order to fulfill all the needs of all the people. Not going to work, is it? So what we need is more doctors and more caretakers. So we're going to talk about that today because I think we can handle that. But it's going to take the cooperation and education of people who are interested in the medical society. And I'm kind of going a step ahead of where I should be on this, but let's do it anyway. You see, if we properly introduce this And we understand that healthcare is the most important subject because a lot of people don't have insurance, they're going without insurance. And where do they wind up? I guess if we really knew the truth, we would be a little bit more impelled to do something about it. There's a lot of people who just cannot afford insurance. And so what do? Do without? Die? Well, I can see how some people would be in that position where they couldn't get medical service in a timely fashion. I know I'm going through one myself right now, and I got a little medical issue, and I can't even get in to see the doctor to go over what I have for another 10 days, and it's been almost 2 months already. Now, what I have is not by itself normally very dangerous. Oh, okay, what is it? I got a hernia. But you can't let it go too long because you're subject to, gosh, anything, any kind of an accident that could inflate the existing problem and cause major problems. And if that happens, it's immediate surgery or you probably will die. But I'm hoping I'm not going to come across those circumstances because not only do I have to wait till the 13th of this month to see the doctor, I'm probably going to have to wait more time, maybe as much as 2 weeks to get in and get the surgery done. That's uncalled for when you have potentially dangerous situations. You know, I don't care if it's a heart attack or some of the other things. A broken leg is not critical. I mean, yes, it needs to be straightened out, or you might have gangrene or something that complicates it. But there are certain things that are dangerous that potentially very dangerous. So anyway, what it gets back to is what I was starting to tell you from the beginning. You see, what we need here in the United States is, number one, a health program that addresses most of the people, doesn't leave out 20 million somehow or another. Or you can say, well, those people, those 20 million that's going to leave out, those are people who can't afford it or on disability. Are covered under Obamacare with pre-existing conditions. And if we take Obamacare away, they won't be able to get insurance because they weren't able to get insurance before. Let's assume that we get that handled because there is a program that will do just exactly that. It will give you continuing coverage with your existing program no matter what that insurance program happens to be, Obamacare or your own individual plan. And that's good for up to 18 months. Well, so what we're saying is that there's a time period where the government could develop a program that would take the place of Obamacare. We have to because it's falling apart. It's not going to be there. And what happens to those 20 million people when it does? Are they going to be left out on the street? Are they going to be dying left and right? Are they going without the care that they're supposed to? Yes, chances are that that's exactly what will happen. Now just suppose for a second that we looked at the long range and what the problems are. A, too much money for the cost of insurance. 2, not enough doctors to attend to each and all. And 3, being fair as much as we can with the disposition of our health facilities. So not only do we have to concern ourselves with the lack of doctors, but the facilities for which to care people for. So it struck me that, you know, medical attention is kind of like in the same boat as other needs. We have military needs, for example, and we have to do that for the safety and welfare of this country. Oh, safety and welfare of this country. Well, yes, okay. Isn't that what we're trying to do with medical services? medical services take care of the people, to cure their ills when possible, or to sustain their life somehow with some of the medical procedures that are out there. So I have decided all by myself, that what we need is what I would call my own name at the moment. If it ever goes into existence, well, they may want to call it something else. But it'd be called USA Medical Corps, C-O-R-E, the U.S. Medical Corps. Oh, now I didn't say corp or like corporation or anything like that. I said Corps, because we have the Marine Corps, for example. Oh, now you're talking about service. Yes, I'm talking about service, but the Marines provide a different type of service. They provide fighting ability and strength. What we're talking about here is medical strength. Providing a corps very much like the Army, Navy, Marines, all of those, their services, and those people in those services have a lot to look forward to if they manage to get through the program. When I say that, I'm talking about if they put in their time and earn their degrees and through the enlistment process, and then finally they do retire and get a pension. Well, if we have a medical corps that is similar to that, and you say, well, how did you happen to think of that? Well, it's not that I'm that brilliant. But you see, I know that we have the Army Reserve. I know that we have the National Guard Reserve. And those people come together and have to do, they have reserve duty. Well, what is the reserve duty? The reserve duty is basically they have to devote so much time a year towards training and exercises. Well, the USA Medical Corps would do exactly the same thing. They would be put together in a very similar situation to where they're providing service, and you're providing service to the people in all sectors. So, as I mentioned to you with the numbers before, even though we have 250,000 physicians, that doesn't include nurses or aides or any of the other assistants that make the program work. And again, let's face it, some people just can't get in and ultimately succumb to the lack or the ability of the facility to provide the services that they need. But if we put together a corps, I think it was Franklin Roosevelt put together the forest, the National Forest Corps. Oh, he did it. No, why can't we do it? Because if we provide someone that can provide the services to these different groups and individuals, you say, and they did it as a contribution to mankind. But they were rewarded for doing so, just like our soldiers are. They're doing something for you, they're doing something for the country, they're doing something for the nation, in retrospect, the world. Well, do they get paid? Yeah, they get paid. Oh, is it a lot of money? No, it's not a lot of money. But then think of the other things that come along with it. They have shelter, food, medical, a lot of benefits that they endure as service people. And this would be the same thing. Well, then you're going to ask, well, where are they going to get the facilities? Well, that's probably not a big a deal as you might think. Sure. Are we going to have hospital after hospital and hospital after hospital being built? Well, in a lot of cases, we already have some of those facilities. In other cases where we may not have them, there are sometimes buildings large enough that can be converted into hospitals and care facilities. But there's one that's even better than that. Because the way I see it, if the physicians and the paramedics and other people in the medical field, whether it's the caretakers or the janitor or whatever, if they join the service and they're entitled to some type of retirement down the road, then they're going to have that benefit and college education and other things. It can take a lot of people off the street. Because you see, most people have the ability to do something. Well, they must have. They get in their wheelchairs and scoot around town. Now, I'm not saying that that's a privilege or something that they enjoy, but they are able to do it. What I'm getting to is that just about everybody that breathes has something that they can utilize in order to contribute to mankind. So, if you have someone who has a physical defect, maybe they can't walk or something, guess what? They can sit at a desk, they can take telephone calls, they can set up appointments, they can do a lot of different things to be in the Corps. And being in the Corps gives them employment. It gives them the ability to do just about everything else that everyone does. What's happened, though, is a lot of the people, since we have so many unemployed in this country, it gives us the opportunity of putting many, many, many people to work in the service industry that we desperately need, and that's the medical field. Now, I've saved the best part for last, I guess. At least, again, here I am hypothecating, and I'm saying, well, you know, I'm looking at the traffic here in Las Vegas, and I'm even thinking about, you know, what's going to happen when we get the stadium here. How are you going to get in here? Where are you going to park? It's already a nightmare. You think it's going to get better because they've improved a few roads? And it's spaghetti bowl is tied up in knots, bumper to bumper, just about every moment of the day? No, it's not. Because we don't have the infrastructure for the number of people coming into town and to accommodate the population. Oh, we could take care of that. We could get rid of all the entertainment, right? Oh, yeah. Well, you get rid of all the gaming. Yeah, right. No, we're not going to do any of those things. We're going to maintain, but we have to plan for the future. And as I've mentioned, we're running out of space. Well, yes, we can go into Pahrump. Yes, we can go into, you know, other Apex and other areas, but is that going to improve the traffic situation downtown? No. So we need to think about that. But getting back to my point is recognizing that transportation problem and recognizing the needs of people that need health care. We have to devise a method that takes away that traffic, or the most of that traffic. A lot of it can be done with mass transportation. Even buses, we have CAT, I believe it is, that picks up people and takes them to different places. And we can avoid some of that traffic at the moment. But ultimately, if we manage to put the USA Medical Corps together, we're going to have other places in the country, Los Angeles, for example, New York, all of Philadelphia, metropolitan areas, and those people back there need medical care just like we do. Oh, it's not just here, and it's not one size that fits all. But what we can do is we can look at the options. I really would like to hear opinions on what the other options are, other than what I'm going to suggest. You see, I had the unique opportunity of working on one of the cruise ships. And I've been around some of the military vessels as well. But the cruise ships to me, especially for those that have been decommissioned, they're not really running around the world every day anymore. They have been they've been classified as obsolete because they just don't have a lot of the modern features. There, we have the opportunity of having the USA Mercy ships. Those Mercy ships they can go into Philadelphia, they can go into New York, they can go into Boston, Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, literally just about any place. Now, if the USA Medical Corps, who has they have the 200, they have a 250,000 physicians at hand, and the hours that I've calculated would give about 18 million hours of service, 18 million hours of service to some of the people, but the Corps would, by the amount of people we're able to bring into the program, let's say we can put together 100,000 or 500,000 or even 1 million members of the Medical Service Corps. It's a Medical Service Corps to administer the health in various degrees and different locations around the United States. Now they have a central location that they can go to, where all the doctors and pre-meds and others who are necessary to run these functions can get together, where all the equipment and everything they need is there, handy, and in fairly decent locations. Because even if you were 2 miles offshore with that medical facility, it would be better than trying to park down in New York City or San Diego or San Francisco. It could be set up in such a way as that we are performing the service for those people, and in return, we've created jobs and opportunities for hundreds of thousands of people. Now think of it this way. You know, we have the Army Reserve, we have the Navy Reserve, we have the National Guard Reserve, so why shouldn't we have a medical reserve? What happens if there's a pandemic? Well, if we don't have the facilities, then a lot of people are just going to flat die. So I'm not so sure that we have very much option in terms of what we can do or when we can do it. Right now, you have an opportunity to participate. You can get in touch with us here at Radio Tribune. You can call, you can stop in, you can look at our website, and having told you about how we can encourage people to become part of the medical profession, to, in a lot of cases, give them a second chance in life. And I'm not talking because they have medical problems, but because they can't find work. It's up to us to find a work for them and to do something that's beneficial to mankind in the meantime. And if that's something that interests you, then we really need to put the pressure on Washington to demand. Yeah, I was going to say ask, but ask is not good enough. Because a lot of times we ask and it falls on deaf ears. It goes nowhere. Who do you talk to? The president and even some of the congressional delegates say, well, we're your voice, but if you can't talk to them, how do they hear our voice? If they don't hear us, they can't do anything. So somehow or another, they've got to get the message. Somehow or another, we got to get people who have the knowledge to make these presentations and make them work. Is this something that you're interested in? Do you have a friend or relative who has a sickness that you haven't been able to administer correctly? Do you need help? Because most of us do. Then you need to try to focus on the main topic that's on the board right now. Yes, we're trying to vote a new Supreme Court justice. Yes, that's important too. But that's only one person. We need to address the most important part for the majority of people here in America. And right now, that issue is healthcare, because Obamacare is about to explode. And we cannot fund it, and nor can we go into any more debt to create an even greater deficit than we already have. We can't do it. We have to cut it off someplace. It's time to mow the lawn. It's time to create a program that works. It's time to plant the roses, and the petunias, and the corn, and the tomatoes, and make our garden grow again. Let's face it, most of the legislatures in Congress haven't really had to work for a living. Well, you can say they're lawyers. Well, all right. Well, how many of them have worked for a living? Some are doctors. And I believe that they recognize the need for a program that's going to work and work well. It could be the model of the world. But the first thing we got to do is we have not kick the can down the road any further, but grab that can and hold on to it and say, this is what we want. Now, when I say that, what I left out from the beginning on purpose was that there is a program that's available right now that we can implement day after tomorrow if we want to. Well, how is that possible? Well, you see, this law was created in 1985 by a very famous person here in the United States. Matter of fact, I saw him on TV last night. Well, I didn't really see him, but I saw his image because he at one time was a movie star. And his name was Ronald Reagan. Yes, it goes back a while, but they have these older movies, and he was in it. And he created a bill or a plan or a program that was called Cobra. Now, Cobra is not an insurance plan. It's an insurance program. And what Cobra does is it allows people to continue with the same insurance they have when they leave, voluntarily or involuntarily. Now, how does that work? Well, what is involuntary? Well, involuntarily means that you have no control over it, you're gone. And that program normally would go away unless you had something like Cobra to pick up the pieces. Now, Cobra can stay in effect up to 18 months, and there are a couple of extensions to 24 to 30 months. But the main purpose of Cobra is to give you the exact same program that you have for that period of time until they find the correct replacement for it. Now, I could go on about the many benefits of Cobra and how it has helped people who haven't had the ability to go on by themselves. And oh, by the way, there's subsidies involved with Obamacare. Yes, Obamacare was very expensive to a lot of people until they got the subsidies. Well, those subsidies, and it's my understanding that that will continue for whatever period of time they have to keep it, Obamacare, in place until there's a replacement. And that replacement is not just Cobra, but King Cobra. King Cobra includes the benefits that most intelligent people want. They want lower premiums. They want benefits. They don't want to impose penalties on the seniors. They want to be able to cross state lines if they can get an insurance program that is better. Those are the things, and that's not all of them, that need to be addressed in any program that is submitted to the American public for consideration. Because if not, they're going to oppose it, and we're going to go on and on and on and on. Sometimes you have to compromise to make a deal. And I believe that the significance of having Donald Trump in the White House allows us the opportunity to go forward with the program because he's a businessman and he understands dollars. When you're saving dollars, oh yes, I said saving dollars, because King Cobra allows you to have reduced rates. King Cobra doesn't take away the ability of 20 million people to have insurance. So when we say is there a program, or why are we scratching our head? We have a program, we just need to implement it, and we need to get to Washington. We need to get the word to Washington. I personally sent out over 200 letters that addressed exactly what we've been talking about today. Cobra and King Cobra, and how we can amend Cobra to replace the Obamacare. I do expect that all the members of Congress will receive their letter perhaps today or tomorrow, I'm not sure. And then maybe we're going to get some feedback and maybe we can take some action. But without it, we cannot really afford to wait for the legislatures to get together on a plan, because there seems to be a Democratic opposition to any kind of a plan because it came from the Republicans. And to the Freedom Caucus, I believe that they are sincere, but they want a program that's going to work. And it's better for us to have skipped this last vote to try to implement something that will meet the satisfaction of most of the people. Will there be some that fall through the crack? I'm afraid so. And the only way that we're going to make sure that nobody falls through the cracks is by implementing other programs to supplement what we have and to provide the service and the lower prices for everyone. And it can be done. So this is Blu Laker. And the show that you're watching or talking about or listening to is Cobra USA. And we are here in Las Vegas at the Tribune, Radio Tribune in Las Vegas, Nevada. Talk to your congressional delegates about this and see what they have to say. And when they start talking negative, ask them what they have in mind. Don't let them shortchange you. This is only 48 pages of law, Cobra. It's only 48 pages, so anybody can read it, and anybody can make suggestions to improve it. But keep in mind, it was not intended to be an insurance plan, only an insurance program. But we can amend that and change that to make it work for everybody. So now that the rain has stopped, and I can go outside. I guess it's time to say goodbye for today. And I, again, would leave you with this information. 702-743-8297. That's 702-743-8297. You can talk directly to Blu Laker. That's me. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.